How do you do? I'm very grateful for this opportunity to thank all of you for the wonderful support you've given us here at the home. The purpose of this film is to give you a visual report of just what that support has been able to accomplish. One way to present such a report would be to show you the various buildings and quote you all of the financial data. But you don't judge an operation on how pretty the buildings are or how much money it has in the bank. Personally, I form my opinions on the product that an organization produces. Well, in our case, we've produced hundreds of different products, each one a different individual boy or girl. And we're pretty proud of them all. Today, I'd like to show you just one of the products of the home. And incidentally, let's get something straight. I'm not an actor. I'm really Charles Adams. And the boy you're going to meet is really a boy from the home. And the story you're going to see is his real story. This particular boy came to the home at the age of 8. His name is Frank Bonta. Let's get the story right from him. He's over at the guest house right now, getting ready for his wedding. I wouldn't worry too much, Frank, if I were you. At a wedding, the bride is supposed to be the pretty one.
Sure is hot.
Why not leave that off for a while? Pat's father just called as they're leaving town. You've still got a good 15 minutes.
What's that? Gosh, more guests.
Well, you can't say your friends didn't turn out for your execution. Certainly the weatherman didn't let you down.
Oh, Patty will be glad. She was hoping for a nice day. And all the flowers, and the grass is so green. And everyone, it's been so swell to both of us.
This has been your home, Frank.
It's been more than a home. It's been my whole life.
As I remember, the first day you came here, you wanted no part of it.
Sure didn't. My brother and I got in that night and took off the next morning. We had heard so much about orphans asylums and institutions that we just took off with a few things that we'd brought with us. We didn't even stay for breakfast, and before I got very far, I got hungry. But all we had with us to eat was a piece of a candy bar. We hid every time a car passed, afraid it might be you.
Hello, boys.
But we never expected that you would circle around and wait for us. That was before we learned how you could always figure out what any of us were going to do. After you took us back, you tried to explain that this was not an orphan's asylum. It was a home. We'd live in a regular house with other children and have a house mother. We'd go to a regular school in Eaton Rapids, and we'd have plenty of chances to play and have fun. And later on, there would be an opportunity to work and earn money too. You also pointed out that even the homes we came from had rules. You had to have rules when a lot of people lived together. But the thing that really made us stay was when you offered to make us a bargain. And if we tried it out for a couple of weeks and we still didn't like it, then you'd take us back to Kentucky yourself. It was a deal. You fixed us up with a lot of new clothes, and you let us pick out what we wanted. And then you took us to our first home, which was the old farmhouse, because some of the new cottages hadn't been finished yet. Later on, after a couple of weeks, we ended up in the Wisconsin cottage, and Mrs. Miller became our house mother. I know it's silly to pretend that anyone can take the place of a mother's love, but Miss Miller sure came pretty close to it. It wasn't hard to fall into the routine. It was just like being at home. I made my bed in the morning, and after breakfast, we had our morning chores. And then, into Eaton Rapids to school. And we'd forgotten all about the bargain we made until long after the 2 weeks were up. Coffee, Mr. Adams?
Cups always were your weakness, Frank.
You say that again. Right from the very first time I started drying dishes here. It was normally a girl's job, but Mrs. Miller made it up to us by giving us dessert leftovers. That is, if we didn't break any of the dishes. If that happened, we lost out on the extras. And so it went. School, playing at home on rainy days. But most of the time, out on the playground with other kids my size. There was always someone there to keep us out of trouble, or to help us. Someone who knew what to do, no matter what happened. And from the start, we all learned to help and stand by each other. And it was the same way at home. Dinner was always the big meal of the day, and everybody helped. At our house, we took turns saying grace. I guess no one was ever sure whose turn it was, except Mrs. Miller. I remember the first time that it was my turn, and I can still remember how it goes. Dear Father, we thank Thee for the food and the blessings and the care given us each day. In Thy name, amen. It was a pretty good childhood, and we didn't miss very much. As I grew up, there was always something to do. In addition to the regular gardens at the home, the boys could rent ground and raise things. And later, we could sell the things that we raised, and in that way, earn a little extra spending money. But that doesn't mean we were goody-goodies either. Why do watermelons taste so much better when you sneak them?
Where are you going, Frank?
Right back up to bed.
with all the good food and exercise, the physical checkups never bothered most of us. As the years passed, I grew and grew and grew and grew. And while I was growing up, the home was growing too. More buildings, better equipment. The ladies' auxiliary added a new wing to the hospital and furnished it with the best. A new operating room and an iron lung of our own in case of an emergency. When I was in high school, one of my chores was to help deliver the groceries. Each of the cottages is named for the State Department that built it, and their delivery boxes are plainly marked. And you can be sure I took special care of Wisconsin Cottage. With our own modern dairy, there was always enough milk for everyone. And all that food wasn't just selected by guests, but from a carefully prepared diet sent over by the hospital. This job helped me to learn how each dollar could be stretched, so that there would be more food for every mouth. The other fellows had other chores, such as cutting the grass, while I was helping with the delivery. But there was plenty of time for sports, and the field and equipment that the Cooties gave us was the best obtainable. I went out with the team, and I'll never forget the first big game I got into. Though our national home ball team was rated right up at the top of its league, here we were, one run behind, the last of the ninth, and one out. We pleaded for Bob to get that big hit, but he didn't. 2 out, and it was do or die for the next man up. What a spot for a pinch hitter.
Frank.
Boy, was I scared.
Strike one. Strike two. Strike three.
Casey at the bat, that was me.
But you did come back the next year and win a lot of games for us.
You know, it's a shame, Mr. Adams, it had to go by so fast. High school, the other sports, rainy day get-togethers in the community center. The girls were busy too, learning how to cook and make a home. They were also given a chance to develop special talents, and Mrs. Adams encouraged them to think about careers. She was always ready to help them with information and advice. The clothing store had been enlarged too, and its stock was much more varied. Mrs. Adams and Mrs. Nicholas helped the girls, advising them on what to select. For the smaller children, the house mother came along and helped them pick out their clothes. What I liked about it was that there were plenty of different styles. By the time that I had finished the 11th grade, the war started getting close to home. I guess we all knew that we'd have to go pretty soon. That night I had it out with myself. There was no use pretending that maybe it would pass me by. It was something that I knew my dad had gone through. It was something that everyone who had given me a place to live and grow up had faced too. It's a pretty wonderful country. Well, just look at the opportunities that it's given me. And when it needs you and someone calls on you to do your part, the only thing to do is do your part and try to do it with a smile. Before I knew it, it was time to say goodbye. That last morning at home, whew, boy, that was something. Have you heard the station wagon yet?
No, I haven't. I think you still have time for a cup of coffee.
All right.
Don't worry, Frank. Everything will be all right.
Who am I trying to kid? I'm scared stiff.
Finish your coffee, Frank. You still have time. I'll get you a piece of pie. Oh, Frank.
Keep the pie, Miss Miller. I guess I couldn't have eaten it anyway. And then, like millions of others, I was in. I soon began to appreciate the healthy life I had been living, and I started to see some of the advantages of my bringing up. I had learned respect for authority. I found I knew a lot more about getting along with people than I had realized. I had a little trouble at first getting my sea legs, but as far as combat was concerned, I guess I didn't do any more or any less than a lot of other guys. And then one day, the sea was quiet, and so were the guns. And I came home. Boy, it was good to be back, and there was something I had to talk about right away.
Well, Frank, it's good to see you.
It's good to be back, believe me.
What are you going to do now after seeing the world?
Well, first I want to go to college. I was over at Albion, and they say that I can go there on my GI Bill. But what I wanted to talk to you about is maybe the possibility of working at the home part-time.
You don't have to come here like an outsider looking for a job. You know that.
Well, I hoped it would be that way, but after all, I'm grown up now, and I should be able to stand on my own feet.
You will stand on your own feet, all in good time. And as far as the VFW and the home are concerned, they're here to help you until you're self-supporting. We just arranged for a scholarship for Herb Sherman through the Department of Pennsylvania. Perhaps we could help you in some way like that.
Oh, no, I won't need that. My GI Bill will take care of that.
All right, fine. Move right back in here. We'll find things for you to do. If you need any financial help, we can arrange that too. There's a fund from which you can borrow for as long as 8 years. There won't be any interest to pay either.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Adams.
Don't thank me. Thank the stamp and poppy bars.
So it worked out fine. I went to college. What I had learned in the Navy enabled me to pass my entrance exams without a high school diploma. My schedule worked out so that I went to school 3 days and worked at the home 4 days, teaching life-saving. I had a lot of other different jobs, too. On Sundays, I'd drive one of the buses into church. Catholics to the Catholic Church and Protestants to the Protestant churches. And sometimes, if there were visitors, I'd show them around the home. The new nursery built by the Ladies' Auxiliary was one of the high points for them. the real tiny ones really did something to them, just as they always did to me. Meanwhile, the staff at the home was growing too. George Seaford, another one of the boys who had grown up here and had been in the Air Force, was back after an outstanding job with the Veterans Administration and a private engineering firm. George became assistant to the director of the home, and some of the disciplinary problems now fell to him. Report card below passing. That meant study hall. Instead of doing his homework at his cottage, he had to go to the library where he could be given extra help. I put in a little time there myself when I was a kid. Around the end of my sophomore year at Albion, I had a new problem.
Oh, Frank, you gave me a start. I must be getting deaf or something.
How about some chili for a starving worker?
You don't look starving to me.
Well, I am. Had 4 rough classes today, and besides, you've got to help me get back in condition for the dance tonight.
All right, just one go. Would you like some coffee, too?
Never received it.
All ready for the dance tonight?
Sure thing. Got my suit out of the cleaners today, a nice new white shirt, ordered the flowers, and
Flowers? This must be a serious date.
real serious. This is going to be the date.
Pat?
Well, who else?
Well, she looks like an awfully sweet girl, but I hoped you would finish college. After all, you still have 2 more years to go.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about, Miss Miller. I do want to finish college, but I can't let someone this wonderful get away from me, and I thought maybe you could help me.
Good heavens. You don't want me to propose to the girl.
Well, gosh, no, but it's the serious things. I want to tell them to you and have you tell me whether they're the right things to say or not. Well, I had a talk with Mr. Adams this morning, and Miss Miller, do you know what I want to do?
I think so. Is it that you want to stay right here and make a career out of helping others as they grow up?
How did you know?
You've been very happy here since you came from the Navy. You're proud of this place. You love it. And I think you'd be very happy with a career like that.
Well, what is Pat going to think? She's known such fellows as bankers and engineers, and I just don't know. If I try to keep quiet about it another day, I'll bust. So tonight at the dance, maybe we'll leave a little early, right after the big waltz. Then, maybe I'll sort of suggest that we take the long way home. I think I know the spot where I'm going to stop.
And then?
Well, first I'm going to tell her how much I love her, what she means to me. But before I let her answer, I want to make sure that she knows what she's getting in for. I'm going to tell her about the kind of life she'd have with me working at the home.
Maybe you should also tell her why the home means so much to you.
Yes, I'll tell her that, but will she understand?
Well, Frank, if she really loves you, that's all that will really matter to her.
Gee, I sure hope it works out that way.
It will, Frank. I'm sure it will.
I sure hope so.
Well, Frank, Ms. Miller was right. It did work out that way.
It sure did.
Let's get going. They're here.
Already?
Come on, hurry up.
Okay. Mr. Adams, thanks. Thanks a lot for everything.
Come on, let's go. Okay.
Well, that gives you an idea of the kind of a product that this factory turns out, though Frank is a little modest. He graduated from college in the upper part of his class. He's been a commander of the local county council of the VFW. And when he gets back from his honeymoon, he'll be joining our staff here. But remember, Frank is only one of our products. In the years that the home has been operating, there have been hundreds of boys and girls who have grown into fine men and women. Men and women who have become fine American citizens. Say, we better get going, or we'll miss the wedding.
Dear friends, we are gathered here in the...
I know Mrs. Miller is awful proud of what she was able to do to bring Frank through to this day.
Patricia Lucille Smallwood in holy matrimony, which is an honorable estate.
And Mrs. Adams and I are proud, too, of what we were able to do to help him grow into the kind of a man he is. And all of you, in the VFW, in the Military Order of the Cootie, and especially in the Ladies Auxiliary, you can be proud, too, because whatever you did, it was all a necessary part of making this day possible. And as you continue to help, it's going to make more days like this possible for the boys and girls who are coming after Frank. Yes, we all have something to be proud of.